Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Wonder Girl, taking you to new heights. Here is your daily forecast for the day of Sunday, April 1st, 2018. First of all, I just want to say Rabbit, happy April 1st and happy Easter. I hope for those of you who celebrate Easter that you do have a good one. Also, just so you know, my April 2018 webinar, since today is the first day of April, is the recording of it is now available for purchase. So if that's something you're interested in to see how this month is going to go, feel free to check it out at the link down below in my description box. All right, now for your horoscope. What we've got going on today, Moon still hanging out in Libra, bringing our attention, of course, to relationships, working with other people in some way, and to finding the balance in our lives so that we're not spending it all in one direction, okay? So I think that's what's going on today. Now at 1 a.m., so pretty early this morning, we've got the Moon hanging out in Libra, making a square over to Pluto in Capricorn. And that could actually be intense. Very early this morning, it could bring up some intense feelings, again, because it's a square, and with Pluto, these could be uncomfortable feelings, scary feelings, hidden deep beneath the surface now that you're just starting to realize, okay? What could also bring up at that time is perhaps some changes maybe that you realize that it is that you need to make. As you're trying to find the balance in your life, work more with other people, you realize that in order to do these things that you want, live a balanced life, feeling supported in the way that it is that you want, that maybe you have to make some other changes in particular to where you see your life going and to how you accomplish some big dreams and goals of yours in some way in order to feel better about it all and to bring other people on board with you in the right ways, okay? Or maybe you are having to communicate with other people about some changes that are going on. So something of the sort here. Either your life is changing and you're having to work with other people to bring them on this new journey that you're going on, or maybe even the other way around, just to give you some options. You're wanting to work more with relationships and having to see your life differently, okay? So just some kind of things that could be going on there. Then after that happens at noon, Mountain Time, the Moon then moves further through Libra and starts to oppose Uranus. And I think what starts to come in at noon is after we make some changes or consider making some changes to where our life is going so that we can find more balance, incorporate more people into our life, perhaps we want to start to break free. Maybe there's just been a lot of pressure that we had early this morning, and I think when the Moon begins to oppose Uranus around noon, we want to let some of the pressure off with Uranus. We want to be able to express ourselves more freely, express ourselves more authentically, now perhaps that we've realized that there are some changes in our life that it is that we need to make in order to feel better, okay? And I think that's what comes up at noon, is either you wanting to express yourself more authentically in some way, or something unexpected occurs. And with the opposition, of course, balance is important. You need to learn to balance your needs, your desires, the things that you want to do, especially in Aries, that make you feel the most comfortable or that are really important to you, with the needs of other people and the needs of your life right now in order to put it in the right place, okay? So I see that coming in around noon, is just needing to balance your needs with the needs of others, and hopefully bring some of your relationships, help them understand who you are and what is really important to you in some way, and you starting to integrate more of yourself into your relationships so that you can start to work better with other people. All right, so that's what's going on there. Then after that happens at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, the Moon then moves into Scorpio. The Moon in Scorpio again has more of that Pluto vibe, since the Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. Bringing more of those Pluto vibes of deep and intense feelings that could then come up at nighttime. Some more changes in life that perhaps that it is that we need to make. And also that comes in with Scorpio is a deepening of our relationships, especially coming off of a full moon in Libra, which is very relational. Scorpio wants us to take our relationships to the next level, to get deeper with these relationships, to deal with deeper, more intimate issues and more of our, like, how can I say this? I don't want to choose like a negative word, but to deal with more of our like internal junk. Our vulnerability comes in Scorpio. So maybe that's kind of what we're having to deal with at 5 p.m. when the moon moves into Scorpio is more of that deep internal stuff that we feel really vulnerable exposing to other people, but that's really, really important to us as well, and having to deal with some of those emotions to figure out how to address them better, or in what way, or to start to get things out into the open. Okay, so that's what I see going on at 5 p.m. Then after the moon enters Scorpio at 9 p.m. Mountain Time, it then, as it's in here, comes into an opposition with Venus, which just moved into Taurus. And I think what that can bring is you going deeper in relationships, maybe exposing some of your vulnerabilities coming in. You also trying to figure out once and for all, especially the way things are changing over the next month, what it is that you need to do to live a life that you really want. And I think the opposition to Venus is starting to say, okay, deal with your deep feelings, make some changes if you feel like more changes are in order, but you gotta stop. You gotta stop making so many changes in life, and you gotta find stability with it. You gotta find the confidence with the life now it is that you're creating, with the people that are in it, with the relationships that it is that you do have. And you gotta stop hoping for things to be different, and you gotta stop, you know, having all these emotional ups and downs. I think this opposition to Venus is saying, okay, you gotta start to deal with some of your emotional stuff and some of your relational stuff in a way that can bring more stability into your life, so that you're not constantly in like this free fall of like change and emotion and like tumultuous stuff all the time. Okay, and I think that's what the opposition to Venus is bringing in, especially because the moon is not in a good spot in Scorpio. Okay, so because the moon is not in a good spot in Scorpio, it can bring up some hard feelings. Those of you who have a natal moon in Scorpio, or maybe like Capricorn moons, I know also kind of do well with Scorpio since they sextile, maybe fine with the Scorpio moon, but in traditional astrology, the moon is not in a good spot in Scorpio, so it can definitely bring up some uncomfortable feelings. But again, needing to make sure that any uncomfortable feelings here, you're not letting them get the best of you, but that you're figuring out some way to get a handle on these things in a really solid and stable way, and to beat them so that they don't keep dragging you down. And I think that's what's going on with the opposition to Venus. We got to figure out how to deal with these things. Okay, and we got to figure out how to get comfortable with where our life is at, especially as we're going to have Pluto and Saturn go retrograde this month. We have to figure out how to get comfortable with our life where it is right now, and stop wishing we had some other life, and stop trying to change things around so much, and having to start figuring out how to do with what we have right now that's right in front of us, with a lot of the decisions that it is that we've currently made. Okay, and I think we're starting to come to the end of these decisions, even though we may still have some more with Mercury, of course, going retrograde into a square with Saturn. But I think we're going to have to figure out this next month how to stop changing, how to stop wishing your life was something else, and how to start living it, being more comfortable with it, confident with it, doing the things that you need to do, okay, in more of a balanced way with other people, to do some things that are important to you, putting your life in the right direction. Okay, so I hope that helps today. Also, just in case I didn't make this clear earlier, with the Uranus opposition coming in, the point of this full moon, especially coming in the opposition to Uranus right after all of this, is not just to work with other people, you know, oh yeah, I got, you know, my relationships say this, I gotta do it, you know, I mean, I need balance in my life, so I gotta forget about this. The opposition to Uranus is saying, work with other people, find the balance in your life, but make sure you're doing it authentically. Make sure you're doing it in the way that you need to feel the most free, to feel the most comfortable, to do the things that you can. In some way, you may have to make compromises, but don't neglect who you are in the process. Don't neglect, with the moon in Scorpio, your deep emotional stuff that's going on. Like, you need to bring yourself like 100% into your relationships, into your life, to deal with these things, to face them, all right, and to overcome them. And I think that's what we're trying to figure out with the moon in Scorpio, all right, is how to be more authentically in our life, to be all present, to be all there, and to do it in a way that we feel more comfortable with what we have right now, and to do it in a way that we can start to begin to build on without having to worry about things changing, or parts of ourself not being there in our life in the way that we want. And we're having to figure that out today, all right? Hoping that got across. Now, stuff going on in the background. We do have Mercury in a conjunction with the sun, of course, lots of communication, lots of thinking going on about who you are, about how you can do things moving forward in a way that really resonates with you, maybe rethinking some things with Mercury going retrograde, trying to figure out, yeah, who you are now that so much has changed and how to do things better. With Mercury and the sun in a trine with the North Node in Leo, I think you're trying to figure out what will ultimately make you happy and what you can do to bring more of that happiness in your life. So I think that's a big thing going on in the background. And of course, part of that happiness, especially with the full moon, being relationships and balance, bringing yourself more fully into your relationships, as I've been saying, and not being afraid to deal with your emotional stuff once and for all, so that you can hopefully beat it and start to build something in your life in some way, okay? So that's what I see going on there, not to beat a dead horse. Also, Mars in a conjunction with Saturn, also happening. Us really wanting to put our life in the right direction, to build something, to move up in the world in some way, to create a life or a reputation that it is that we really want. And I think we're trying to figure out with all of this stuff going on, not only how to build a reputation that we want, but how to be happy doing it in a way that really resonates with us, working with people. So it's just bringing a lot of stuff together. I think right now that's the hard part, because we're being pulled in so many different directions, wanting to do so many different things. And I think really having to figure out here how we can get multiple parts of our life going in the right way all at once, okay? There's a lot going on. All right, so that's what I see there. And then the last thing I'll talk about, Jupiter in a sextile with Pluto, giving us an opportunity here, if we're addressing, especially because the moon's going to be there later the next few days, giving us an opportunity if we're addressing some of our deep emotions once and for all, if we're not hiding from them. I think the sextile to Pluto Jupiter here is giving us an opportunity to finally deal with, address some old issues, changes that we've been dealing with for quite some time now, and really helping us to heal them, to go over them, to make sense of them, and to do them better. And I think we're really here trying to bring our life all together, to do some things that are really important to us, that we really want, to be happy doing these big things, and to have the support that we need. And I think this is when, this month especially, if you watched my webinar, is the month where we're just trying to figure out here, how can we stop changing our life so much? How can we stop being so insecure about our life, so uncomfortable, especially with Chiron at 29 degrees, so worried about whether or not we're making the right decision, and is this really what's going on, you know, and finally start to just do it, to just put ourselves out there and to really just go for it. And I think what's going on the next few days is that we're really trying to understand better who we are, what we want, and how we can move forward on it, being more open about it. Yeah, in a way that just feels better and that works and that we can build on. All right, so I'll just leave that there. Now for your card for the day, we've got the 8. It's the 8 of Cups upright. This card is a card of, I normally think of this card, some of you have seen me pull this card before in my interpretation of it, but as definitely walking away from something. Perhaps that's just no longer working for you, to in search of something that just suits you better. So that's what I think this card is all about, especially with the moon going on in Scorpio. I mean, there could be some really deep soul searching that goes on at the nighttime. Once the moon moves into Scorpio, you're trying to figure out what you want, what you need, what's really, really important to you in some way. And I think that's what's coming in. The deeper you get emotionally, maybe even perhaps the more vulnerable you let yourself get. After this full moon, with this Scorpio moon coming in, I think it's going to help you figure out what you really want, who you really are, what is in your soul. And I think that's what this alignment is all about, is you really trying to figure out what you want, what will make you happy, and what it is that you need, and how you need to work with other people to do it. All right, and I think what we're trying to figure out with this card is not what like everyone else says we should do, but what we really feel like inside ourselves, and to start going towards that. And I just think coming in at the nighttime, it's a really good time to reflect, to understand what's going on inside you, and to deal with the unknown, to deal with the uncertainty, to not be afraid of the unknown, to not be afraid of the uncertainty of dealing with hard things, because I think that in the end is ultimately what's going to give you that renewed sense of purpose in some way. All right. So that's what I see going on. This card isn't really a card of relationships, but after the full moon, I am going to say I do think people can help you if you are not afraid to show them the parts of you that you don't like. Even if there are not other people involved, even if you aren't afraid to show yourself the parts of you that you don't like, I think there is some clarity that can come spiritually about who you are, about what you need, and about what you need to do next. All right, and I think today is going to be a good day to start to understand better what you really want and where everything's heading. All right, so that's what I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching my horoscope. If you liked it, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and I will talk to you later.